Welcome to the Sunday morning show. Happy New Year. It's Faceman here. And it's another Sunday, first week of the new year. Quite a bit's been going on that we're going to get into today. Hope you guys had a happy new year. So, on today's show, hold on. Make sure my mic is where it needs to be. So, on today's show, we've got some interesting topics that we will be covering. So there's some videos we're gonna look over here, and we're gonna be discussing different topics based off these videos. I also have a new segment. We're going to be looking at some memes that came throughout the week. So I compiled a quick little video using the Windows Media Player function or whatever. I was like, oh, I could put all these pictures into a video. Maybe that's a decent way to present it. But some interesting memes there. So some of the stuff we're going to be talking about. We got a video here. Joe Rogan interviews this guy. I forgot his name, but they talk about, I think he's like some kind of evolutionary psychologist or something. And they discuss like what women instinctually look for in men as a result of, evolution and things like that. The next one we're going to talk about this interview here. Daylight talks about how emo rap was never really a thing until very recently. We're going to be talking about the transgender boy who won the girls wrestling title. We're going to be talking about Desmond is Amazing, the 10-year-old drag queen, and his potential. It seems like he might be using drugs and some of the things he's been up to. And we're going to discuss like whether that's, is that okay? Is that, should little boys be doing this? So we're going to talk all about that, but it's definitely more than just dressing up like women. It's more than that. We're going to be talking about some of the New Year's goings on in Europe. For New Year's, there was a lot of there's a lot of reports of Arabs, Muslims, whoever you want to categorize them, throwing fireworks. There was one video that they were throwing fireworks at police, and one where in Germany where they were setting off fireworks in the train station. So we're going to discuss, some of that and like the policies going on in Europe that basically is the cause for why they have such an influx of migrants and things like that. China tested its own Moab, its mother of all bombs, an equivalent to what we have in America, what our military has. There's that video of the Trump supporter who went into a vape shop and got basically screamed down by the employee because of his shirt. And there's this video of a cop who tased a protester, which I didn't really even see that video yet, but we'll check that out. We always start things off with a song. Also we're going to talk about we're going to show this video because the Yellow Vest protests are still going on in Paris, in France. It's spread to different parts of the world, and actually that relates to the videos with the migrants shooting the fireworks and things like that. So we're gonna get into all that. We start off with a song. I found this song randomly just through networking on Twitter and things like that. This girl Choopsy, she makes her own beats, and she put together this song that I think was pretty cool, pretty unique. So we're gonna get into the news right now. Baby, empty, but what's new? In a few years, but it's here.
I'm too good to be here. Tell me you're not next, 'cause I won't last a year.
That was excuse me. Excuse me. Excuse me. So that was Falling by Choopsy. You can find that music on soundcloud.com/Choopsie, CHOOPSIE. I really like the production on that, you know, like she has this kind of like, you know, and it's kind of relevant to the type of music that's out today, like more like somber, kind of like chill, and you know, I don't know, I dig it. It's pretty cool. All right, so moving on, we're gonna take a look at this video here. What women like in men. This was on the Joe Rogan show.
So there's something called assortative mating.
We're gonna try not to we're gonna try not to watch the whole thing because it's a 17-minute video. We'll try to just get to the sorry. We're just gonna try to get into the meat of it. But this is Gad Sad. I haven't really heard of this guy. Who is Gad Sad? First of all, before we watch this video, Gad Sad. Who is this guy? A Lebanese Canadian evolutionary behavioral scientist. Yeah, I knew it was something like that. Evolutionary something. At the John Molson School of Business. Yeah, it's very interesting. You know, I like listening to what these kind of guys have to say, like evolutionary scientists, evolutionary psychologists, because you know there's a lot to understand about how humans have evolved throughout time. You know, modern society is basically just a blip in the timeline. You know, Humans have been around for thousands of years. You know, what we consider modern society has only been around, you know, a little over 100 years. Not even 200 years, right? And you know, I would imagine if you were born within the past, you know, after 2000, you know, it's probably a shocking thought to you that computers haven't even been around for even 100 years. You know, when were the first computers built? Like in the 70s, probably had more rudimentary ones earlier on, but you know, the mass consumer didn't even get their hands on computers until, you know, the 70s or 80s. So, you know, because I know like the military had like supercomputers and stuff, which basically function like a calculator. You know, essentially is like, you know, had the power of a calculator, things like that. But now, you know, we got these mini computers in our hands. You know, it really is amazing. Like I really wonder where we're gonna be in 10 or 20 years, because things just move so fast, and technology moves faster than anything. What is the law of technological advancement or computer advancement? Is it Moore's law? Oh, that's what Moore's law is. Okay. See, like sometimes some of these things I know, I don't remember the exact name and shit. It's hard to, you know, but I had a general sense of what I was looking for, and here I went. I found it. I guess that's just part of the dependence that I have on search engines, on Google. You know, our ancestors could remember and remember a lot more. You know, we're already cyborgs, guys. We're already cyborgs. We depend on search engines to take, you know, to substitute part of our own brain's processing. So already we are cyborgs because the search engines are extensions of our own thinking. Moore's law is the observation that the number of transistors in a dense integrated circuit doubles about every 2 years. The observation is named after Gordon Moore, the co-founder of Fairchild Semiconductor and CEO of Intel, whose 1965 paper described a doubling every year in the number of components per integrated circuit, and projected this rate of growth would continue for at least another decade. So basically, it's like a calculation of how the CPU power is doubled, how it's multiplied throughout the years, and it's been pretty sound, apparently. Anyways, let's get into this guy.
In evolutionary theory, so there's something called assortative mating.
Assortative what? Assortative mating?
So there's something called assortative mating.
Assortative? Is that even a word? Assortative mating. Okay. I'll just read over here while this plays.
In evolutionary theory, assortative mating is basically birds of a feather flock together, right? And that's very much the mechanism that drives mate choice, much more than opposites attract. So one of the assortative mating cues that people most assort on is height. So it's not so much that women want guys that are only 6 foot or taller. It's just that the woman wants a guy who's taller than her.
Right.
So if you look at, there is a study that I've discussed in the past that looked at something like 720 actual couples, and I think there was only a single one out of the 720 where the woman was taller than the man. Now, once a woman gets to be over a certain height, she's 6'2", 6'3", her potential pool of prospective suitors really shrinks. And so if you have a daughter, you really want to pray that she doesn't get too tall, because boy, are her choices going to be limited, because few women want to date a shorter guy than them.
Yeah, when you're a 6'3", 6'4" woman,
You're
that,
Yeah, I'm 6 foot. I never dated a woman taller than me, and I'm not really attracted to women that are taller than me. Mostly because it's like, I don't know, man. A lot of it has to do with feet, because I like cute little feminine feet. But you know, the taller and bigger a woman is, the more like man-like their feet tend to look. It's just my own personal observation. There could be, a 7-foot chick with really feminine-looking feet. I guess, maybe. I don't know. I don't know. It's like after a certain size, I think my brain doesn't associate it so much with like femininity. Like I would never date a woman who has feet as big as me, and definitely not bigger. What? That'd be insane. 'Cause I like touching up on the feet, cute little feet, touching up on the feet. In bed, getting freaky, suck on them toes. Ladies, you like that. You like that shit. Anyways.
it's got to be a tough spot. I mean, you're basically relegated to big athletes or big giant people.
The other place where you get this sort of mating is where you get women who are super educated.
That makes sense.
The exact same thing happens.
Sure.
The more educated a woman gets, the worse her marriage prospects, because the more sophisticated women are, the more they insist on a high status male. And therefore, as I get more educated as a woman, there are just fewer men who are as educated or more than me. And therefore, I'm doomed to a life of solitude.
That totally makes sense. Especially considering that men, in general, they get insecure around women who are more successful,
yes,
and more educated or more intelligent. Like, very rarely are men comfortable with a woman who has to explain things to them.
Absolutely. And
I don't know if that's necessarily true with me. I think it's all in the woman's attitude. I think it's all in the woman's attitude. I don't know. I wouldn't say necessarily a level of intelligence would predicate a certain attitude. I think you could be smart and still be kind and empathetic. I think you could be smart in somebody and still be kind and empathetic to that person and all that. But I think I can probably say that I'm more comfortable with women that I know aren't as smart as me. But like, okay, so there was like this Chinese girl that I was dating, and I knew for sure she was smarter than me. She knows English, she knows Cantonese, she passed the GRE. The GRE is tough. Like, I actually tried to take it, but like a dumbass, I didn't study for it. So, of course I bombed it like crazy, but I was kind of surprised how hard it was, dude. Like, unnecessarily hard. It's like, even in like scientific journals and stuff, I'm like, I haven't even seen language like this in scientific journals. Like, this is so unnecessarily obtuse and complicated of a way of wording things. Like, it's just like you're just trying to cram the biggest vocabulary words into everything. And it's just, I don't know, maybe it comes to a certain point where, like, certain words, like, are just unnecessary, in that it's just it's less a way of more becomes less a way of being more specific in what you're talking about, and becomes less that and more of like locking most people out of understanding what the hell you're talking about. Sometimes the English language can get unnecessarily complex, and I think that's to lock away most people from understanding what the hell is going on, to keep knowledge amongst just a few. Anyways, what were we talking about?
Yeah.
By the way, I think so. I have another theory which I'd like to at some point test. Maybe someone will steal it now. So when you have a couple that gets married very young, they are judging one another based on their mate value at 18 or 19, right? So Tony is the high school quarterback, and so he's the hot guy, and I'm the cheerleader. And then later, he stagnates. He doesn't go on with his career, whereas I go on and become a physician, the cheerleader. So at 29, there is now a huge inequity between our two mating values on the mating market, right? So when we were both 19, the fact that we had roughly the same mating value made us a very attractive, stable couple.
But Tony turned out to be a fucking loser.
Exactly.
He's a lame duck.
Exactly. And so I have a theory that, and I'd like to at some point test it. Maybe some graduate student will write to me saying, I'll work with this on you, Dr. Saad. I have a theory whereby I think that in many cases where people end up divorcing when they married young, it's precisely because that which started as equitable mating values at time t0 turned out to have
Equitable mating values. That makes a lot of sense. It does make sense.
huge divergence in our trajectory on the mating market, and that puts a huge strain on the marriage, especially when the wife's status is going up. The best way to ensure that the marriage ends is for the status of the woman to keep going up and that of the man to either stagnate or go down. That's going to be
Damn, it sounds pretty fucked up when you say it out loud, isn't it? But I mean, it makes sense.
doomed.
That makes sense. It makes sense that also, you know, obviously the young marriages are rough because people grow and they don't necessarily grow together.
Right.
You catch people 10 years later and they're oftentimes radically different people.
Right.
But then there's also the thing that women don't seem to, for the most part, respect a man who's not doing as well as them.
Right.
You know, that's a giant issue. Even if the guy's doing okay. Like, say if your guy is making $50,000 a year, that's a very good living. He's out.
I think it depends. You know, I don't know. Because I've definitely dated women when I'm like broke as I am now. And it's been fine. I think as long as you've got something going on, you know, like as long as you are passionate about something, believe in something, and you know that you're not just completely stagnant, like you're not just laying down and watching Netflix all day. I think you know, some women can still see the value in somebody if, you know, they can still see the potential in somebody, even if they don't have a you know, if they're not working at the moment, or if they, you know, have like a job that doesn't pay so much, or a passion that doesn't pay yet, things like that.
They're doing well, but you make 300. You make 300 grand a year, and this fucking loser's over here with his 50 grand. Like, you're kicking ass. You're like some bigwig at some big corporation. Like, that seems to be a real sticking point. And with men, especially if they have a household where they contribute income together.
But isn't it more like and that kind of leads to the perception, at least for me, you know, going by what other people say, is that, you know, with as women get higher and higher up in different you know, places in the economy, you know, like, as you know, let's say like he's talking about, like, oh, you're like a CEO or something like that. Like, a lot of those women, they it's hard for them, like they're saying, to find an equitable mate, and that, you know, they're more likely to just have, you know, instead of having kids, they have a few dogs or a few cats, and you know, they just become really just married to their career. And you know, the value of having a mate is really played down a lot, you know, with the new wave feminism and stuff like that. It's played down, you know. You could say that you know, you hear all the time, like, hey, you know, women don't need a man or whatever like that. But if you think about humanity throughout history and the way, you know, it has functioned for thousands of years, it's kind of understandable, you know, because we carry things from our ancestors in our DNA, in our genetics, you know. Some say you even carry your ancestors' memories through your DNA, through your genetics. I mean, it is code, and there is information stored on your DNA. You know, I've heard that, you know, you can store more information on your DNA than like any hard drive or that's out or whatever. You know, so there is a lot of stuff that is carried from our ancestors, in my belief, from what I've researched and what I've heard. So that makes sense. Let's continue.
They pile all their income, and the man starts spending the woman's money on stuff. You know, he starts buying stuff. He's got a new fishing rod. Where'd you get that, with your money or my money? You know, it gets weird, right?
And incidentally, so speaking of...
Yeah. Money is always a weird topic. Like, you know, I'm very prideful, so I wouldn't, you know, I would be very, I would not like that. I would not like spending my partner's money. You know, at the most, I mean, at the very least, it'd be like, okay, you spend your money, I'll spend my money, but I'm not going to go spending your money. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like kind of a less of a man if I were to do that.
Say consumer psychology, stuff that I study. When you take a very rich woman and you go out on a date with her, even though she obviously can afford the dinner and she can afford anything that you're going to buy her, if you exhibit cues of frugality, cheapness, that's the perfect way to ensure that you won't have a second date. So it's not so much a question of, you know, it's an old sexist.
I always pay from the first date, and I can totally see that. I can understand that. The key is, guys, don't make the first date an expensive date. All right, if you're hurting in the pockets, you know, just go for coffee. I mean, that makes the most sense to me. Like, why would you want to spend, you know, $60-$80 on like dinner or something like that, and or like drinks, and then you discover that you don't like the person? You know how many dates I've had, first dates, where I just like immediately knew, like, okay, yo, I actually set a record like last year? Yeah, last year, after I broke up with that Chinese girl that I was talking about. You know, you know, like it had seemed like she had moved on very quickly and was already looking for like another dude, like immediately after we broke up. And like, so like I was like, all right, you know, whatever, fuck her. Like I'll fucking, you know, get back on the dating apps and, you know, try to find something else too. And there was this one chick that I met up with. She was cute, but she was definitely like a fucking like yuppie fucking gentrifier, fucking know-it-all condescending bitch. Like I met her at Union Square, right? And then we're just walking around. We literally in total walked around 10 minutes. We walked around 10 minutes, and like in those 10 minutes, she was criticizing me and judging me like the whole time. And I was just like, wow, what the hell is this? Like, I came all the way to the city for this? Like, she was like, let's not even stop for coffee. Let's walk around and see if we can tolerate each other, basically. And then, like, you know, towards the end of the conversation, I was just like, like around the 6, 7, 8 minute mark, I was just like, you know what? Maybe we should just, I don't know. Maybe I should just. This was not a good idea. Maybe I should just head home or something. So, anyways, like after a 10-minute walk, talking to her, I did just that. I don't know, man. Some chicks are weird, man. Some chicks like. I mean, people in general are weird. People in general are weird, but I feel sorry for whoever she ends up with. Oh my god. She just seems like an unbearable person. And I got a quick story about since I mentioned the word gentrifier. So, let's get into my New Year's, right? So, I got on the guest list to TBA Brooklyn, this really cool club in Brooklyn that I go to a lot to go dancing. Like, I'm really into dancing to like deep house and EDM, stuff like that. My favorite DJs, Sleepy and Boo, were performing, so they got me on the guest list. So, which is, shout out to them because, the tickets were like $60 or $90, something like that. They were not cheap. So I'm glad I got to get in there free. So, basically what I do when I go dancing, man, like, dude, I'll get a couple of drinks, get loosened up a little bit, then I'm dancing straight until like 4 a.m. pretty much. So, that was one of those nights. But, so I decided that I was going to be drinking tequila that night. I like margaritas, so I was like, cool, I'll just have some margaritas all night or whatever. So, I may be like 4 or 5 drinks in, something like that. And so I've been dancing for a while. I'm like, this is like well into the party. I think this might have been after midnight already on New Year's. So I go up to the bar, like, get another margarita, and this stupid ass fucking bartender, man, he gives me a glass. Okay, let's say, this is the glass, right? Normally it'd be filled to like right here if you like mixed it properly, right? And so he gives me a glass that's like this, right? Like almost half full. And so I give him the money, and I'm like, wait a minute, but like, what's going on with this glass? It's like half full. He's like, well, he's got the same amount of alcohol in it. Like, the fuck? Like, I didn't order straight alcohol. I ordered a fucking margarita. And so, like, I have him, I don't know. I think he just added more fucking alcohol to it because it was fucking way too strong by the time I got it. And so, I had to give him a 20 for it, right? But then I guess, maybe got distracted when I was talking about how he didn't make the drink properly. He forgot to give me my change back. So he ended up just dropping the change off at some point next to tip money or whatever people left. So like he gives me the glass, he gives me the drink now that he's fucking just added more alcohol to it. I'm like, okay, whatever. And I just pick up, and he's right there in front of me, mind you. And I just pick up my change. And he's like, wait, are you taking my money? I'm just like, dude, I may not be a white boy, but I don't need to take your money. I don't need your money. That's my change, dude. You didn't give me my change directly. He was like, oh, no, I'm sorry, man. I can give you a free drink or whatever. I was like, get the fuck out of here. I gave him the Ice Cube stare, like, just, the fuck? Fuck out of here. So, that annoyed me. And then just yesterday, okay, I met up with my boy BS, had some lunch, right? And then like I'm walking to the train station. It's cold, it's rainy, and I'm about to cross the street, right? And I see this dude, okay, from that corner, like reversing so hard, dude. And it was like the ground was wet and everything, and just like slipping and sliding all over the place. He just wanted to reverse to turn into this street that I'm crossing on. And so I'm just watching him the whole time. I'm just like, what the hell is this guy doing? And so when I cross the street, because he backs up, and then I'm crossing, and then he kind of has to stop and wait for me to cross. And so like, when I get to the other side, he just goes, and then and I look back, and he's just like staring at me with his fucking with his vape pen in his mouth, just like, yeah, right. Like driving by like that. And so I'm just like staring, and I'm like, just watching, because I'm like, yo, is he gonna get into a car accident? Like, did he just like rob a bank? Like, what the hell is going on? So because this is not normal behavior that somebody is just like, reversing so fast and trying to looking like they're trying to speed off or something like that. So that was kind of weird. But what happened was he saw me looking at him, right? And then I kind of just stopped at the corner. And I think this guy, I don't know, he's some crazy ass white boy. Let me tell you, I don't know if he was like on some shit or just like fucking psychotic or some shit. But he stopped right there. He rolls down the window. He's like, "Hey, what's the problem, buddy?" I was like, "Hey, you all right, bro?" He's like, "Yeah, fucking. I'm just wondering why you're standing there looking." And I'm like, "Well, I was just trying to cross the street." He's like, "Yeah, I stopped for you." I was like, and I was just like, "All right, just be safe, man. Drive safe." He was like, "You too." I was like, "Dude," and it's just funny. It's just funny. He must have been upset about something, because I mean, the way he was driving was very reckless. He could have easily gotten into an accident. So I don't know, man. Some real brazen shit.
The ritual whereby men were wooing women, it really is an honest signal of your commitment to a woman. So the best way, and I get many of these letters where people ask me, "Hey, professor, what are dating advice?" Well, you do have to exhibit generosity when you go out with women. That I mean, nuptial gift giving. Nuptial gift giving is sort of the fancy term for, as everybody could imitate it, right? So
Oh, this is a good point.
exactly.
God, when you say a quarter of the yearly salary, it makes you just go, "What in the fuck is wrong with people?"
But the
That's
reason,
so much money.
but here's the reason. Here's the reason. You ready?
Yes.
It's what's called a Zahavian signal. I don't know if I've ever discussed this in this podcast. Zahavian signal is basically the idea that for a signal to be honest, it has to be costly. Otherwise, everybody could imitate it, right? So think about, for example, rites of passage in different cultures, right? If you want to demonstrate that you're a top warrior, the rite of passage has to be brutal. Otherwise, if it's only we all have to do 5 sit-ups, then every male could do it, and then the females can't determine the pretenders from the real guys, right? So you have, for example, bullet ant. Do you know this one? Right?
Sure.
You put your hands through, right? I mean, that takes a lot of courage and a capacity.
Explain it to people who don't know what we're talking about.
So this is a tribe in the Amazon whereby you take the bullet ant is supposedly the biggest purveyor of pain that is humanly possible that you could experience.
My friend Steve got stung by one.
Did it? And what did
He was in Bolivia, I believe, and he got stung.
occasions?
Really?
On 20 different times, on different dates, have sex. Well, then a lot of cheaters are going to convince you of doing this when they really didn't have good intentions. But if it takes for me to spend a quarter of my salary to convince you that I have honest, so therefore this is a form of what's called Zahavian signaling, because Zahavi was a Israeli ornithologist that studied this type of behavior, this costly signaling behavior, using Arabian babblers, which is a type of bird. So here's another example of a Zahavian signal. You probably have seen this. When you have a predator that's looking at who to attack, you often will have gazelles starting to actually make themselves conspicuously visible to the predator. They come close to him and they start jumping from him. Have you ever seen this? Do you know? I think it's called strutting, not strutting. And can you think why that would be?
No.
Like, why are they not hiding? Why are they not making themselves inconspicuous? Why are they drawing attention to themselves when there are 50 different gazelles that the predator could be pointing to?
Why?
Well, because what that animal is saying is, the fact that I could stand here in front of you and jump up and down and make myself this visible suggests that it's probably a lost cause for you to try to go after me. I'm super fit, right? It's a costly signal of my fitness. It's an honest signal, right? The one who is not doing this behavior is the one that you should be paying attention to, right?
Interesting.
So this is called, and so I use this principle of Zahavian signaling to explain things like conspicuous consumption, right? The reason why you buy the fancy car that the other males can't hope to purchase, it's precisely because they can't afford to match your signal. Therefore, it's an honest signal. The reason why I buy $100 million painting that a monkey could have drawn shows how wealthy I am, that I could.
Yeah, a lot of things are subconscious that we don't really realize that we're doing, that we're thinking. And we share a lot of traits with animals and their behaviors, as he just explained. Right? Because you would think, like, if an animal runs on instinct, you'd think they would just immediately run away. But, there's a lot that we're still finding out about different animal societies. Like, these scientists, they study monkeys for years, and like the monkeys over time learn different things and kind of evolve in their own small ways. So what women like in men, Joe Rogan with Gad Sad, to check that out if you're interested with that video. Next up, we're going to check out this short video. Most of these are short, and if not, we'll just skip through some of them, So this is a video, a daylight interview with Vlad. This is probably an old video, actually, but that's all right, because it's new to me, and it's still relevant. What they're talking about here.
Kodak got to where he is with no Drake features.
Kodak I've been following Kodak. So I had a battle in Florida. This was a while ago. It was like on some, I'm trying to be the next Jay-Z, you feel me? He was like rapping. I'm like, yo, this little dude is on some like protect the community and shit, yada, yada, yada. So I'm like, yo, he gonna pop. And he got to where he got. And I think Kodak also figured it out. I think he figured it out, like we're in a different era where you gotta get their eyes before you can feed them. So he got their eyes with all the shenanigans, yada, yada, yada. But every blue moon, like I listen to Kodak lyrics and he'll slide something in there. And I'm like, okay, he's still where I need him to be. So I fuck with Kodak, heavy, like super, super heavy.
Yeah, I mean, I just interviewed Nick Cannon yesterday.
Shout out to Nick. I fuck with Nick to the max, man.
Yeah, man, that's the homie. He compared Kodak to Bob Dylan, and it's not a bad comparison.
That's dope. That's like a pretty accurate
someone who back then people were, well, he's not the best singer, and he's a little off key, and his shit's kind of simple or whatever, but everyone fucked with it, and it, it's still being played to this day. I think Kodak is kind of on that same wave.
I think I think one thing with Kodak, the best part about it is that like he's been through so many ups and downs in his career, and he's still here. You know what I mean? Like, like he been through like maximum ups and downs in his career.
Back and forth to prison.
To where like normally some of the rappers in that lane, normally like it'd be over. You feel me? Like once the internet not fucking with you, they not fucking with you. But like he's managed to stay in his realm, like no matter what happens to him. I think it's because he tapped in. He's tapped into something else.
I think back in the day you would go to jail for a while and people just forget about you. It'd be the end.
Yeah.
But because of social media, people come out of jail as superstars.
Yeah.
Like, I'm a Buju fan, Buju Banton fan. He just got out. And people are praising him and saying he's the greatest thing ever. And listen, I'm a Buju fan and so forth, but at the end of the day, he went to jail for trying to buy cocaine.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? You don't really celebrate that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We're happy that he's back and that he's doing music again, but like, there's like a parade for his honor, and I'm like,
Bro.
the dude just got caught selling kilos. Like, come on now.
We celebrate Columbus Day.
Yeah.
Is Columbus a good guy in any way or form?
No, I feel you.
At all, but we celebrate it.
Yeah. Although they are starting to take down statues and stuff like that.
It's too late for that.
It is a holiday, though,
It's
right?
too late for that. It's we don't even have to go to school. It's like a official holiday.
Yeah.
You feel me? And you get what I'm saying? So it's like, that's the type of era we live in, man. Like you said, due to social media, like, you know, like people build up that, oh, when he get out, I'm gonna be on him, yada, yada, yada. It's weird. It's like, it is weird. It's a weird psyche that has reversed. Like,
Oh, yeah. I mean, listen, when Bobby Shmurda gets out, it's going to be a zoo.
nah, it's over.
You know what I'm saying? Like, who else is locked up? Like, I mean, O3 Greedo got some years.
Yeah. But
You
see,
know?
that's the thing, like with wave music, like super wavy music, like for example, if Jay go to jail, you feel me, and Jay get out, like he's still gonna be Jay because his music is like, it's timeless, right? With wavy music, like who knows what the kids will be on within the next year. You get what I'm saying? Like, look at music. Like, look at what just happened within the last 4 or 5 years. You had jerk music. You feel me? You had jerk. Then you had ratchet music. Then you had
Mumble rap.
Then it ain't even mumble rap no more.
It's like mumble singing.
It's like mumble singing. Like it.
Might be yodeling at one.
Put some codeine in my cup, yeah. We gonna smoke, we gonna ride it.
Point.
Man.
Like, if you're not yodeling, your shit's whack.
Like, but
Like, you know what I'm saying?
People,
you ain't
like,
yodeling? Psh,
Like right now,
Get
people
that old
going
school
from-
shit out of here.
People going from mumble rap. They went from jerk, dance, ratchet to mumble rap. Now they going from mumble rap to mumble sing. And at first it was like gangster singing. You feel me? Like Ja Rule was a gangster singer. You feel
Yeah,
me?
Nate Dogg.
It was a gangster singer. But nowadays people are turning to like boy band singers. Like, you know, like when I listen to, like, let's say Juice WRLD, you know, when I listen to the Shadow song, like that sound like something Hoobastank would have made.
Okay.
You get what I'm saying? Like, it sound like a Linkin Park track.
Yeah,
or
I
it
feel
sound
you.
like, you feel me, like 3 Days Grace, one of them shit.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
before you know it, like, and you know, we going into this whole depressed emo era. You feel me? So it's like,
Oh, yeah, man. The big artists. The Lil Uzi Verts, the
it's
Trippie
like
Reds.
it's a depressed emo era. Like, and you know,
Emo rap has never really been a thing until now.
because black people never was fucking emos. That's why. Like, no, we been through slavery, all type of shit. Like,
Yeah,
we
you
didn't
know?
give a fuck. Like, depression didn't.
Tough it out.
Ride it out. We ain't got nothing to eat. All right, nigga, let's figure
Walk
it
it
out.
off.
Walk it off. Now, you know, motherfucker ain't got nothing to eat. Somebody gonna make a song about it. I'm sad.
I'm so hungry.
I'm so hungry. You feel me? Juice WRLD, new hit single, I'm so hungry.
I'm so hungry.
Mommy didn't feed me. I still see the shadows in my refrigerator. Bruh, chill.
Oh man, yeah, like oh man, and this dude Adam 22 put up this shirt, man. Let's see if I find it. He put out this shirt that just kind of illustrates the point that the video was making. He had posted it on his, it said like very lonely on it. Hold on a second. He posted it to YouTube as well. See if we find it. Let's see. Is it under here? Oh, he's wearing it. He's wearing the thing. It says, very lonely. Oh, here it is. Yeah. So that kind of just illustrates the point that Daylight was making in the video, that it's trendy to be depressed. Awesome stuff. Awesome stuff. Okay, next topic. Transgender boy wins girls wrestling title. So this is a male to female transgender. So a lot of controversy with this topic because, I mean, if you know anything about biology, you would understand that, men have less body fat. They have, and generally the muscular structure is, better upper body strength, things like that. Biologically, men are physically more powerful than women in general. Of course, there's women that are, lift weights and, like think about like China, rest in peace, and all these there's all kinds of women like that. But there's something to be said when you have what was a boy now wrestling girls, because it's not like all that upper body strength and slim percentage of fat compared to most girls. That doesn't all go out the window. I mean, he's biologically more capable than women, right? So just look at this real quick.
It's the dramatic end to a competitive and controversial weekend for Mac Beggs. The 17-year-old Dallas area high school student won the title of champion in the girls' state wrestling competition Saturday. A mix of cheers and boos directed at the wrestler as he fell to his knees, appearing to soak in the wind. Many in the audience feel Beggs has an unfair advantage on the road to victory. Beggs is a transgender athlete, born a girl, transitioning to become a boy. He takes testosterone injections to make that transition happen. Many believe
it's a girl that's becoming a boy. What was it?
Become a boy. He takes testosterone. Transgender athlete. Beggs has an unfair advantage on the road to victory. Beggs is a transgender athlete, born a girl, transitioning to become a boy. He takes testosterone injections to make that transition happen.
Oh, I get it. So it was a girl. She's transitioning to a boy. So the controversy really is that she's taking steroids, taking testosterone in order to make that transition. I mean, she pretty much looks like a boy from the short clip we just saw so far.
Many believe that provides the young wrestler with an added competitive edge. His strength and agility are hard to miss on the mat.
So there's a big issue right now, right? And I think if he has been taking hormones or steroids, he should be wrestling boys.
That can't happen, though, according to the University Interscholastic League, which oversees public high school athletics. Current UIL rules state boys may not wrestle against girls and vice versa, and gender shall be determined based on a student's birth certificate. For Beggs, that means he's got no choice but to wrestle girls. Then there's the issue of the hormone therapy that would typically be disqualifying. Not in this case, says UIL Deputy Director Dr. Jamie Harrison.
The law is very, very specific that a student who is being administered performance-enhancing drugs by a physician cannot be made ineligible.
The UIL insists it's willing to review its existing laws to see if they need to be changed by legislators. For now, the state stands by this weekend's competition, calling it fair. Today, Beggs shares the gold with his peers.
I wouldn't be here today if it weren't for my teammates. That's honestly what the spotlight should have been on, is my teammates.
The young athlete wrestles with a new uncertainty. Next season, will he still face off with girls as a boy? Polo Sandoval, CNN, Cypress, Texas.
Happened months before the interview.
All right, so that was interesting. I don't know why I thought it was the other way around before. I don't know. I'm an idiot sometimes, I guess. In any case, that is interesting because they're arguing that the use of steroids is they try to validify it, but I don't think that's fair either. But I think there was some wrestler that was, I think I got confused with another one. Let's see. Wasn't there this other one that was a man that wrestled with women, became transgender, wrestled with women? Wasn't there this other one? Let me see this guy. This picture always shows up. It's so so funny. No, I guess not. All right, we're gonna move on. Okay. So some people have been this has been in the news this week. Desmond is amazing. Is a let's pull up the Wikipedia, whatever. Hold on. Does this describe it? Whatever. Anyways, 11-year-old kid, drag kid. So, the thing about this is that, and I'm all for freedom of expression and things like that, but where do children learn from first? Like, who do they learn from first? The parents, right? The parents, maybe TV sometimes, depending, maybe friends from school. So you gotta wonder how this kid, got into this art, this hobby, right? So the reason why we're talking about this is that it seems to be a lot deeper than that, than just dressing up like women. So we're gonna look at this one video that
amazing at 10.
This guy put together a pretty good video that kind of analyzes what's going on. If you want to see the full video, it's I, Hypocrite, Desmond, and the Party Monster. And again, we're going to try to just skip through and get to the key points.
I saw him on the Geraldo show. Him and all these creeps.
So Club Kids, this is something that I'm just kind of finding out about. Club Kids was basically underage children that would go clubbing in the 80s and 90s. The Club Kids was a group of young New York City dance club personalities led by Michael Alig, and that's one of the people we're going to be talking about, actually, and James St. James in the late 1980s and early 1990s. Michael Alig is actually this guy right here that we're going to talk about. He's in this other video with Desmond is Amazing, and Michael Alig actually killed somebody. Michael Alig is an American former club promoter, musician, and writer who served almost 17 years in prison for manslaughter. So he pled guilty for manslaughter. He basically killed somebody over drug debt. He killed fellow club kid Andre Angel Melendez in a confrontation over a delinquent drug debt. So, the Club Kids were notable for its members' flamboyant behavior and outrageous costumes. In 1988, writer Michael Musto wrote about the Club Kids' cult of crazy fashion and petulance. They are terminally superficial, have dubious aesthetic values, and are master manipulators, exploiters, and thank God partiers. Also, RuPaul was one of the original Club Kids as well. Members, okay, they have a whole members list. Yeah, RuPaul's right there. So most of them were, I believe all of them were underage, though. Which in itself is interesting that you would have huge group of underage boys running around the club scene, mostly at like gay clubs, things like that. A lot of them were addicted to drugs, hard drugs. In one of the videos, we talk about ketamine. So let's take a look at this.
The club kids, and they were stars for no reason. I mean, they all had their own special thing about them. But they talked about what they did, about these parties they did, and all this fun they had, and I thought, oh my gosh, that's what I want to do.
No, please. Do you do ketamine on the couch?
Do it. You're an idiot.
Kid, what has this world come to? It's come to a world where drag kids actually exist.
And people do ketamine on a couch. Do you not just do that? What? Oh my god, who am I sitting next to?
What? I watch documentaries for kids about not doing drugs.
I bet you did. I bet you did.
Hey, what's going on YouTube? It's me, your boy LP, and this video is going to be a bit of an addendum to my last episode of You Can't Stop Progress. There was a clip. You can see the feet of a girl skipping rope and the word rohypnol. And Desmond in this video seems a little bit out of it. His eyes are kind of droopy. He seems low energy. And that's basically what you got on the surface. And that's enough to maybe be a little bit unsettling. That's enough for you to say, I don't know exactly what's going on.
So again, this guy got out of prison recently for killing a fellow underage, gay kid that was part of his group of club kids. They basically just went around clubbing, partying with older gay people, other gay guys.
Here, but I'm not sure that I'm okay with it. But like I said, it gets deeper because what you may not know is this guy.
And I mean, his eyes do look real droopy, dude. Like, if we look at, let's look at another, before we even continue. Let's see what he normally looks like.
Pergolatus, good roughage, okay?
To be open about dressing in drag.
They support me by letting me do what I want to do and letting me...
Doesn't his dad look like the ultimate pedophile?
Dress up and let me play with makeup and trains and yeah, I really like trains. When I'm at a drag, most of the time I'm playing with trains.
Yeah, this is so creepy.
To Desmond's right is Michael Alig. Now, Michael Alig was made famous in the 90s when he was portrayed by Macaulay Culkin in a film called Party Monster. That's right, this guy is the Party Monster.
I need to see that movie. I might have seen it already, but if I did, it was a long ass time ago. But I want to see that movie and see. What, Marilyn Manson's in that movie too? Jesus Christ.
Now, if you've seen that movie, you know how fucked up this is. If you haven't, let me fill you in. Michael was a club kid in the late 80s, early 90s. He got hooked on drugs. His life spiraled out of control. He ended up living in sort of a flop house with a bunch of other party kids, and including his drug dealer that he had move in. He got indebted to his drug dealer for thousands of dollars, and one day his drug dealer got sick of being put off and came to collect. Michael and another one of the roommates, a guy who they called Freeze, murdered the drug dealer who went by the name Angel. So what they did was they bashed him over the head with a hammer a few times, put a pillow over his face to suffocate him. And then this part's a little bit contentious, but according to Freeze, Michael filled up a syringe with Drano and injected Drano into Angel's veins, as well as shot Drano into his mouth and then duct taped his mouth shut. Michael denies that, says it's a drug.
That's some like fucking hostile shit. Like, what the hell? That's Saw.
Dramatization, but personally I'm inclined to believe Freeze because first of all, why would you make that up? Second of all, Michael just seems completely psychopathic with no boundaries. If you want to get a better sense of the guy, you can watch the documentary, which is called Party Monster, a shockumentary.
I don't know how any parent would allow their child to be anywhere near someone who's been to jail for any kind of violent crime. I mean, I would be hesitant to have my child sit next to anybody who's been to jail, like legit prison for any period of time. But you know, as the video goes on, it you know, the guy speculates that of course the mother knows who this guy is, Michael Alig, and what he did. He killed somebody and fucking was in jail for 17 years. He pleaded guilty for manslaughter. Why would you have your kid, you know, where is the mom there? I would hope the mom is there. This kid is looking real drugged out right there.
Entry, and they talk about,
I mean, the painting, the Rohypnol, the child skipping rope. This is some weird shit to have as art, right? Would a normal person have art like this? And fucking having a toy tea set out and everything.
the kind of guy Michael was. For example, he peed on people from the upper level of parties because he thought that was a funny...
What is the purpose of this statue on the side here? I wonder who that is exactly. Because that's got to be some kind of message right there.
Prank. He would pee in bottles and give it to people and tell them it was Gatorade so they would drink it. He would spike people's drinks with drugs.
I mean, it's probably like, I don't know, Socrates or some shit. You know, if you looked into Greek history or like Roman history at all, like in you know, in those times, like homosexuality was very open and like, you know, accepted and things like that. Could be a reference to that, because I mean, these two guys are gay, and they might be pedophiles. Who knows? I mean, a lot of sex offenders were abused as children, and we know that Michael Alig was one of the club kids, underage boy, going to gay clubs, hanging out with older gay men.
Drugs all the time. About the kind of guy Michael was. For example, he peed on people from the upper level of parties because he thought that was a funny prank. He would pee in bottles and give it to people and tell them it was Gatorade so they would drink it. He would spike people's drinks with drugs all the time just to fuck around. And one of the guys who knew him wrote an article saying that he also pimped out underage kids to his rich friends. So pretty much a fucked up dude, but I can understand why he would deny injecting Drano into Angel, because let's face it, that's a whole orders of magnitude just more fucked up. I mean, that's just a whole nother level. But anyway, enough about the Drano. They didn't know what to do with the body, so they put it in their bathtub with some ice. After a few days, it really started to stink, and so Michael said they had to deal with it. He offered to deal with it if Freeze would give him 10 bags of heroin. Freeze did, and in exchange for the 10 bags of heroin, Michael chopped up Angel's body, put it into a box, and dumped it in the Hudson River. A couple weeks went by.
That just sounds so crazy. It's like, how can... What? Is that for real? Come on now. 12 disturbing facts about Michael Alig and the Killer Club Kids? Ranker. I don't know if I trust Ranker. I don't know. I never heard of Ranker. But it doesn't mean it's not true. 2 men plead guilty in killing of club denizen. This is New York Times. September 11th, 1997? Michael Alig whose elaborately planned parties once drew thousands of young people to Manhattan night spots, pleaded guilty yesterday to killing and dismembering a fellow denizen of the downtown night scene. How do you kill and dismember somebody and still get away with manslaughter? What? I mean, how do you convince a judge and a jury, like, how do you convince them, like, you know, that it's not premeditated murder when the dude is already, you know, has the process laid out, chopping the motherfucker up? What? He pleaded guilty to one count of first-degree manslaughter. Smothered Andre Melendez, chopped up his body, and threw it in the Hudson River. The friend Robert Riggs also pleaded guilty to manslaughter. Prosecutors declined to provide a motive for the killing. They've been fighting over a debt. Party promoter. Dozens of so-called club kids. Whoa. Mr. Riggs said that Mr. Alig and Mr. Melendez had been fighting and that he had intervened to save Mr. Alig, hitting Mr. Melendez over the head with a hammer and knocking him unconscious. He said that Mr. Alig then throttled Mr. Melendez and poured a detergent in his mouth before wrapping it with duct tape. I mean, I don't know, man. Like, if I'm defending myself, that's not the first thing I would think to do, is to grab some detergent and pour it in somebody's mouth. $10 bags of heroin. The hell, dude? This is who this kid is sitting next to. A dude who chops somebody the fuck up and pour Drano in their mouth. What the hell?
And he thought he got away with it, and he started bragging to all his friends about how he had murdered Angel. Everybody thought he was just talking shit because that's the kind of guy he was. But eventually the box washed up. They found the body. They issued a warrant for his arrest, and he fled the city trying to escape justice. But they caught him. He took a plea for manslaughter and got out after 17 years. So if you didn't already have reason to question the parenting choices that Desmond's mother is making, now you can add that to the pile of questionable decisions that her kid is hanging out with this dude. So as somebody who has my own kid,
This is the former Episcopal Church of the Holy Communion, built in 1844, but by the end of the 1990s, it was anything but holy. Between the late 1980s and the turn of the century, the Limelight was one of New York City's most infamous clubs and attracted all sorts of people from all around the world. Artists like Grace Jones, Marilyn Manson, Chuck Berry, Cyndi Lauper would all perform here. Limelight was also home to the club kids. These were an influential group of people that dressed up in elaborate costumes and partied the night away.
By 1996, Limelight's appeal began to crumble when club kid Angel Melendez was killed by the ringleader of the group, party promoter Michael Alig, and his roommate Robert Riggs, also known as Freeze.
In Alig's apartment, they took the body, put it in the bathtub, filled it with Drano, ice, baking soda. Days later, they cut up the body, put it in a box, and dumped it in a river.
Michael Alig was a kid who came from the Midwest and exploded on the scene of nightlife. He worked his way up to become the leader of the club kids.
Love your haircut. I mean, it's just sensational. Well, low maintenance. I see that. It's great.
I don't know. I guess they're jealous because I'm having a lot of fun and they're not.
When Michael started, he was reckless and bratty and fun, and I liked his charisma, I liked his ideas for club parties, and I liked the way he wanted to shake up the bourgeoisie and the banality and get attention for himself, though that gradually led to a spiraling. And there was a dark side from the beginning, but at first we were kind of captivated by the dark side. Ooh, he has nerve, he really can shake things up. He's got, the cojones to go there. But eventually it became more out of control and less cute. Before I knew it, he was throwing big parties, everyone was following him. A whole legion of club kids was saying, Michael, Michael, and I would turn around and it's like, no, Michael Alig, not you. The club kept hiring him. I kept going to his parties. We all sort of enabled it in some way, but also I was there not just to celebrate him, which I did on talk shows when I said nightlife is a wonderful place for many LGBT youth.
We make our own rules in the clubs. Nobody is there to say, you can't dress like that, you can't behave like that, you shouldn't be doing that. We can do whatever we want.
A lot of LGBT kids found a home here. They could work within the scene, they could enjoy themselves, bond. Some of them have been thrown out by parents or weren't accepted by their parents.
And again, from what I understand, most of these kids were underage. Let's see. All right, whatever. Let's continue.
And here they were accepted. But I also was there to chastise and say when he went overboard, which was often. And Michael even had a party here at Limelight that was like a blood feast thing with, dismembered limbs and imagery like that, which made you wonder what he was thinking about.
In March 1996, Angel Melendez went missing.
April 10th, 1996, I ran a piece about how Michael had called me saying he was fired. He sounded like a mess. He said, my apartment is padlocked, I'm homeless, and he really sounded out of it. And then I asked around and said, is this what's really happening? And somebody said, yeah, but people also think that he and Freeze killed Angel. So I put obviously mention of a missing person and wondering what Michael knew and what he did. The buzz kept mounting, and 2 weeks after that I did my famous blind item called Night Clubbing, which addressed a fight over drug money involving a hammer, finishing off, pillow, ultimately cutting up the body and throwing it in the river. Michael once came up to me on the street before his conviction and was promoting some party, and I was like, ew. And he's like, you don't think I killed Angel, do you? And it was said in a very eerie, taunting way. And I thought, yeah, I do think you did.
You don't think I killed Angel, do you?
You don't think I killed Angel, do you?
He had obviously told so many people that he did it that part of him wanted to be caught. He was screaming to get caught. Everybody was buzzing. He told a lot of people. Some people thought he was joking. Some people thought it was a stunt.
It is a common trait with a lot of these killers and stuff like that. It's no coincidence that, like in those crime dramas, like True Detective, that the killer leaves clues around, because that's the Zodiac killer. Like, come on. In some sense, they do want to be caught because it's like a self-destructive rampage,
You never were sure from his tone, but he wanted the word out there. He almost was wearing it as a badge of honor. When he was missing, it was extremely tragic and gave more credence to, obviously, what we've been hearing. When I first heard it, I thought, well, this is something Michael Alig could be capable of. He had gotten that messy and did have that seed of darkness that obviously had spiraled without boundaries and with more and more drugs through the years. I was part of getting the word out there, and my item was picked up, along with an item in New York Magazine where Michael admitted to having a fight with Angel. Obviously, once Michael was convicted and sentenced, it was extremely uncool to be a club kid. I was relieved to know that he pled guilty, because by that point nobody thought this was some kind of joke or a stunt. He definitely was going to make a name for himself. That's what he was after, but he did so in very clever ways. He wasn't just some psychomaniac, who did nothing. He ruled nightlife for years. Then it all went down with the lack of boundaries, too many drugs, and now he's famous for something else.
In 1997, Alig and Freeze pled guilty to manslaughter. Freeze was released from prison in 2010. Alig served 17 years in prison. He was released in 2014.
We were hoping that we would go to bed and wake up the next day and that it had been a dream. I mean, we were that scared, and it's hard to put yourself in this situation where you've done something like this that's so horrific that.
Pay attention to his nonverbal communication. How many times he looks away and he's lying.
Really, the whole universe has changed, and like that. I don't know of any other.
Blinking a lot, looking around, blinking a lot. It's key signs that you're lying.
Story in modern day that has so many drama queens and so many attention whores, and so I can imagine that when the DA went around asking people, questions, there were people that just made up answers because they wanted to be involved in some way. They're probably not used to so many people that want to be involved in something scandalous like this, because most people want to shy away from that kind of thing. But the kinds of people that are associated with this scene, they want to be in the paper, and they want to be. We wanted to be, we want to get attention, and it kind of didn't matter if it was negative or positive attention, just getting the attention. And then, of course, when you make a Hollywood movie of it, so now you have a Hollywood version of an already hyped up version, and somewhere it turns into something completely else. There are a lot of people who just they see something on film, and because it's in a movie or documentary, they think it's got to be true.
There's a story that came out that said you injected his body with Drano. Is that true or false?
That one is false.
There's also rumors that Drano was dumped on his body. So.
That was true, among other things. Just whatever.
I didn't inject him with Drano. I just poured some over his dead body when he was in my bathtub.
Our drug-addled minds thought would cover up any scent, or we didn't know what we were doing. I mean, we were just kind of on autopilot and just making snap decisions, and none of them good, none of them right. But that's what happens when you're on drugs. You don't even realize that you're not making right, because you're on drugs. So
wow, he's learned that. We take these crazy ass drugs. You go wild. Why is he? Why is he in his place? He has this painting with this reference to roofies, Rohypnol. It's a drug used to date rape people, and you see that these are like the feet of a child skipping rope. And he's there with this underage drag queen. Desmond is amazing. And then he's sipping teacups like he does in the Party Monster movie. You think he learned his lesson? I don't know.
I'm not using drugs as an excuse or anything, because I was sober when I decided to take drugs. So I have to take responsibility for everything that happens while I'm on them. On the other hand, you're not we weren't on our right minds, obviously. We were just making bad choice after bad choice after bad choice, and making the problem worse when we thought we were trying to make it better.
Did you have a party in the apartment while Freeze was in?
No, we did not. Things like that upset me because they add an air of sinisterness and darkness to it's already a terrible situation, already a dark situation, but that specific thing changes the story from something that possibly could be forgivable in a certain by certain people in a certain to something that maybe isn't so forgivable, because it's like now there's like premeditation and there's like malice and kind of, and so that bothers me. It insinuates an air of just callousness and like we don't care, or like we were so racked with guilt and just pain and misery, and there was no way. I wasn't even throwing parties at the clubs. I mean, the clubs were kind of just running. I couldn't put together a party at the club, let alone my house. We were doing anything, every defense mechanism and every possible escape and running away that we could think of to like either make, maybe it didn't happen, or fix it in some way.
After they returned to the apartment, Alig took heroin and then cut up his victim's body.
We just went right to the drug dealer and bought as much heroin as we could buy, because I think we wanted to kill ourselves. Heroin gives you kind of a feeling of that everything is okay, kind of like Xanax, but like, it takes away all of your worries and concerns, and you could maybe do something that wouldn't seem conceivable if you're sober. So I said, I'm just going to do more and more heroin until I get to a point where I either can do, can take care of this, or I die, and then you'll have two bodies to get rid of, and then I won't have the responsibility.
The rumor is that after Angel had passed away, you had gone around telling people.
We did tell people, and it was I told people because in a way I felt, and this is really selfish, but drug addicts are selfish people. I told my friends in an awful way because I felt like I was like sharing the burden of responsibility now. Like it wasn't just me that had this.
This is like the biggest bullshit I've ever heard in my life. What the hell?
This awful secret thing. Did you do it? So then it was more like, well, let's say that we did it, so they think we didn't do it. So it was a little bit of everything. And if they do, that's not true.
Him trying to rationalize his psychosis is amusing. Anyways, if you want to see the rest of that one, it's Party Monster Michael Alig details grisly crime. Anyways, here he is right here next to this child.
I was asking myself, why would you do this? Why would you expose your child to this level of danger? And you might think, well, obviously for just like money and fame and exposure, but I looked into this a little bit and I've come to a different conclusion. I have a bit of a theory. I can't prove it, of course. I'm just speculating here. I'm just spitballing, but I want to make my case, which is that Desmond's mother, who goes by Wendy Lou, which is another Dr. Seuss fucking name, by the way, at some point she must have developed a hybistrophilic attraction towards Michael Alig. That attraction probably drove her further interests in drag, because there's a RuPaul connection here that we're going to get to. And then she imbued that interest into her son, Desmond, who also started to idolize Michael to some degree or want to emulate him. And I'm sure Desmond has seen the movie Party Monster. That's part of the case I'm going to make. Now you're asking yourself, this sounds like a stretch. How could I prove any of this? Well, just wait. I'm going to make the case and you're going to be blown away by my deductive reasoning. But before I get to it, there are just two more things I want to show you that aren't really related to the case, but are just really fucked up and I want you to be aware of. The first is that painting hanging over the couch, the one with the skipping girl, which says Rohypnol. And in case you don't know, Rohypnol is the date rape drug. It's something that they roofie people with to make them complacent.
Is that art that he's made? Michael Alig's site. Huh.
The skipping girl, which says Rohypnol, and in case you don't know, Rohypnol is the date rape drug. It's something that they roofie people with to make them complacent so that you can molest them, rape them, whatever, and they don't remember what happened to them afterwards. Michael Alig painted that. He sells prints of his paintings starting at $500, and I'm just showing you a few more pieces of his work so you can get a little bit more insight into this guy's mind and maybe understand why I'm inclined to believe that he probably injected Drain.
So are these things he's painting now? Like, when did he paint these things? Like, because he's making it seem like in his interview that he's blaming it all on the drugs that he was taking, but it seems like he's obsessed with all kinds of drugs and, just some real evil shit. it seems like idolizing Hitler, it would seem, and I don't know what the hell is going on in his freaking head.
Into his roommate's veins. The second fucked up thing that I want you to be aware of when you think about people letting their kids hang around this dude is that this is one of the opening scenes from the film Party Monster.
Let's see. What else? Oh, once when I was 10, my Sunday school teacher took me back to his house. He taught me how to French kiss, among other things.
He really took my boy under his wing. Very nice man.
His mother caught us in the basement, and she screamed, "I told you not to bring them here!" And he said, "Don't, you'll frighten them away."
So Michael Alig, at least according to the film, was sexually molested when he was 10 years old. I think that's worth being aware of, because if you know anything about child sex predators, they tend to have been preyed upon when they were children. It's a whole cycle of abuse thing. So the fact that that appears to have happened to him just means he's that much more of a red flag, that much more of a risk, and someone that shouldn't be within 100 feet of kids. Now, as for my conspiracy theory that Wendy Liu has a hibistrophilic obsession with Michael Alig, I have a bunch of evidence here. I'm not sure exactly how to present it to you, so this might be a little bit jumbled. I apologize for that. The first thing I'm going to show you is the evidence to support my earlier claim that Desmond has seen the film Party Monsters, and it has to do with one of those clips I played at the very start of the video where Desmond seems to imitate doing a bump of Special K off of that space between your thumb and your forefinger, just like real drug dealers do.
No, please. Do you do ketamine on the couch?
Do it. Ugh, you're an idiot.
Kid, what has this world come to? It's come to a world where drag kids actually exist.
And people do ketamine on a couch. Do you not just do that? What? Oh my
So like, where did this kid get that from?
God, who am I sitting next to?
What? I watched documentary.
I mean, when I was 10, what grade would I have been? Like 5th grade? 5th grade. I didn't know anything about any drugs. Come to think of it. I think I first tried weed when I was in 8th grade. I didn't even get high. I probably didn't even smoke it right. And it was like shitty regs anyway. And then like, when I was like 16, went back into it. But I didn't know anything about no ketamine. I didn't hear about ketamine till maybe college. I don't know. But this little kid knows how to take it and everything.
For kids about not
I
doing drugs.
bet you did. I bet you did.
How would a 10-year-old kid know this? I didn't even know what ketamine was when I was 10 years old, much less how it was done. Seems a little bit strange, doesn't it? And then last night I was doing my research. I watched the shockumentary. I rewatched Party Monsters because it's been so long since I've seen it. I wanted to refresh my memory. And I saw this scene, which I found pretty interesting.
What do you do?
I don't do. I just am extremely rich. Anyway, if I'm to stay in this roach motel a moment longer, we're gonna need to take things up a notch.
I don't do drugs.
Nor do I. Did you see that? It just flew right up my nose.
My mother says drugs are for losers.
She's so right. The ketamine hydrochloride, aka Special K, is mainly used by vets as an animal tranquilizer. When taken by humans, it works as a dissociative drug, selectively reducing excitation in the central mammalian neurons by N-methylaspirin. In other words, it fucks you.
I don't know. I just found that a kind of interesting coincidence. Now, here's something else I find interesting, okay? This is a Instagram account called Official Club Kids and More.
So, I mean, I think we get the picture here that this kid appears to be in danger. Appears to be,
Welcome to the pew.
at the very least, someone needs to call CPS on this, these parents that are, and the parents look weird too. They look creepy too. Like, I guess I'm not surprised that they allow their son to be hanging out with a murderer. was obsessed with drugs, and is probably a pedophile based on like the stuff he paints and the fact that he was abused as a kid.
This is the Desmond is Amazing episode.
Our special guest, the amazing Desmond, all the way from Brooklyn. Drove through rush hour traffic to get here. Hot tea. It's 9:40 p.m. and he doesn't have to go to school tomorrow. Starting.
Well, we should explain to the people.
One of those.
For the state exam.
No, he just took one of those before starting.
Well, we should explain to the viewers who Desmond is. Desmond is the world's youngest club kid, and we challenge you, as the viewer out there, to find a younger club kid. Will they find one? No.
So, and technically he is a club kid because now he performs. Hold on a second. He performs at clubs. He recently performed in Brooklyn. And these are pictures of him performing, accepting money like a stripper at a gay club. And he had posted about it on his Instagram. I think they might have removed some pictures. And I looked on the Instagram for that bar, $3 bill. I didn't see any information on it. If you're under 21, you shouldn't be in a bar, right? Or isn't it like if you're under 18, something like that? If you're a child, you shouldn't really be in a bar. I mean, being a drag queen is one thing. Again, I support freedom of expression, but dressing up like a woman is one thing. And I mean, I personally don't agree with that. I don't think children should be exposed to this kind of stuff. Like the parents shouldn't be like, "Hey, wear this wig." Like, maybe you'll feel like, like I would just say to my kid, why don't you just wait till you're an adult. Wait till your brain is fully formed. The human brain doesn't finish developing till age 25. But, wait till you're 18, till you start doing some wild stuff. Okay? Just focus on school. You know what I'm saying? You don't need to even worry about any of this other stuff. Okay? Just go to school. Do your thing. All right? Don't get into something that's going to make your life harder in your formative years. You know what I'm saying? Because when you go through adolescence and puberty and things like that, those are your formative years. You don't want to have a traumatic childhood because you want to become a drag queen at 10 years old. Then you're going to have some... Because I mean, it's not normal. And I'm not a fan of being normal. Like I don't think normal is good to normalize everything. And I like freedom of expression, but it's just logistically, practically, in a practical sense, it's just I wouldn't personally support it with my kids. But anyways, if you're a parent that wants to give your kid that degree of freedom, if they want to do drag, okay. I mean, but it's a different thing to have them performing at a gay club or any kind of nightclub. Why would you have your kid performing at a club where people are drinking? And people are, a lot of people go out to clubs because they're ready to fuck. You're exposing your child to all kinds of weirdos, no matter what kind of club. All right. Next in the news, I saw this video somebody posted on Twitter. So we can see there, that was in the Netherlands. That you had some migrants throwing fireworks at the police. If you're not familiar with what's going on in Europe, the European Union basically has, encouraged its members to accept as many, migrants as possible. A lot of them military age, young men, military capable men, and from what I hear, have taken over parts of these countries like the Netherlands and Germany and even England. So my opinion on this whole migration thing is that, every country should worry about itself first. Should, its own citizens should come first before considering bringing other people in. And it's one thing to bring in a couple thousand to help, families escape oppression and things like that, which the West has caused. It's because of the war on terror that they, are fleeing their countries, because we basically destroyed the Middle East and continue to drop bombs there and continue to occupy space in there. Just look at Libya, how it was, it was thriving, it was democratizing. Hello, Zyro. Thank you for joining the chat. Yeah, I do. That's what I'm saying. I definitely agree with that. Kids just don't belong at the bar. There's no purpose for that. Why put your kid in danger like that? Even if his parents are there, he's exposing himself to a population of people that are just ogling at him. He's dressed as a woman at a gay club. You can bet your ass that there's some gay dudes there who are looking at him like a piece of meat, especially if they're taking some drugs, on some ketamine or who knows what the hell they're taking, maybe ecstasy, maybe whatever, influencing their senses, right? So anyways, about the whole migration thing, the reason why it's failing is because they just taken too many people. And it's altering their whole society basically. And so here's one video in Germany. It's crazy when you think of it, because it's you're in your own country and you have people running around who clearly are not from your country, just trashing the place. I mean, if there was a gas leak or something, you could blow the whole fucking subway up. What if you get hit with a firework in your face? You're just there trying to take the train. This is on a train station.
Zu Hause trauen die sich das nicht. Duscher hier, ja? Das soll sie mal zu Hause machen, in ihrem Land. Da trauen sie sich das nicht.
Das sind unsere Feuergelder.
Ich kann keine Raketen kaufen. Die können Raketen kaufen ohne Ende.
Damn, setting off in the trap.
Wieso?
0 Uhr 9. Nee,
Ja, haben wir doch gleich.
9 Minuten, 8 Minuten.
Der Wichser. Das kommt mir mal gerade ganz gut. Warum? Lass mich doch ein bisschen ab.
Ja, ist ganz schön aggressive Stimmung hier, oder? Überall fliegen Bomben.
Ich komme mir vor wie ist wie in ihrer Heimat, da fliegen auch Bomben.
Ja, ja, aber das nur...
Ich komme mir vor wie im Gazastreifen, weil in Syrien ist ja kein Krieg.
Ich hab schon Angst, sie zu filmen.
Keine Kultur hier. Wieso ist doch nicht verboten, hallo?
Ja, ich filme ja nicht so
Ja.
Steht da mit dem blauen Hemd.
Wo ist der denn?
Mit dem blauen Hemd.
Echt, haben sie?
Haben die?
Ich habe nur gehört, Nazi.
Nee, draußen haben die geschrieben, Allo Akbar.
I'm all for migration, but I feel like countries should prioritize their own citizens, and the people that they do accept should be people with skills, people with talents that can help the country become better. So I think this video is interesting too, because this is showing police violence in Holland, in the Netherlands. So that video we showed earlier was police basically ignoring all of these fireworks exploding around them. But then it comes to an actual, you know, people just expressing themselves, expressing a political opinion in this protest. Look what happened.
Burgemeester heeft deze demonstratie verboden. U dient zich te verwijderen van deze locatie. Doet u dat niet, zult u worden aangehouden.
These protests are crazy. They're like spreading across Europe. Hold on, there was a video. Oh, that Luke from We Are Change put up. He said, Rocky Balboa in Paris is it? Hold on, I messed up here. He's punching the smacking him up. Thank you for the comment, Zyro. In Europe, it is it's becoming a huge problem, and that's part of what these protests are about. The yellow vest protests. Immigration has historically been great for United States. I definitely support legal immigration. Illegal immigration, I do not support. And there are a lot of issues with that in the United States that the media does not often cover, since the media is primarily left-wing media. I don't consider myself right-wing. I'm more of a independent libertarian, and I can see the faults from both sides, so I don't take any sides, because each side has their own points and their own faults. You know, there are crazy left wingers, there are crazy right wingers. There's some right wingers that make sense, some left wingers that make sense. In America, at least, it's just it's two sides from the same coin, because Democratic politicians, conservative politicians, they both support foreign war. They both support, you know, the prison industrial system along with the military industrial system. So there's a lot of similarities, and you know, if there were more options, I think it'd be a lot better. I don't think having just two major parties is really serving our country well, because the same mistakes are repeated over time, and then people think, you know, okay, we got 4 years of a Republican, now we're going to have a Democrat for 4 years. And so when there's a Democrat president, all the Democrats are asleep when it comes to what that president's doing wrong, and then it's just the right wingers who are complaining. But then if it's a Republican in power, the right wingers are asleep, and then the left are you know, actually criticizing. You know, me, I don't trust any politician, but there are very few that very few like Ron Paul and Rand Paul that actually I feel like I can relate to more what they're about. Fiscal conservatism, but with social freedom, is more or less along the lines. This guy's funny though, just smacking up But yeah, there's a lot of issues with immigration in the United States. I mean, along the border, there's a lot of crime. You know, there's cartels that funnel in drugs all the time. You know, it's pretty serious, and you know, most media doesn't talk about it. At least it's not the U.S. They be shooting everyone. Yeah, that's true. Like I'm surprised at some of the restraint that these police have, but at the same time, they are like beating people in the street. You know, I think it's because the reason why they're not just shooting everybody up is because like the population there they're unarmed. They're not really allowed to own guns in like France and Germany. So, you know, that's why it's more like a big old melee. There are more options. Vote for third party. Yeah, but I mean, in the current system, you know, if you don't have if the third party can't make it to the debates, like presidential debates, what's the point? You know, they had a good, for example, in here in New York, there was this guy Larry Sharp who was running for governor, who seemed like a really good candidate. He even showed up like on the Joe Rogan show, and you know, he was a native New Yorker, and I was like, wow, this guy, you know, he sounds like a great candidate, but the Democratic Party has full control over New York. It's so heavily controlled. So, you know, I didn't even bother voting because, you know, just about any seat that you vote for in New York, it's going to go to the Democratic Party. Although there are, you know, a decent amount of Republicans, mostly the more wealthier people in New York City and upstate. There's some more Republicans, but there's vastly more Democratic voters, and the hold the party has on the state is very strong. Yeah, normally, you know, normally I feel police do their job okay, but there definitely are those that overstep their bounds, because when you give somebody power, it often leads to corruption. But let's continue here. What else we got here? Okay, China. Last week we talked about the new missile system that Russia announced that they had tested. Avangard, which Putin claims that we don't have a defense against. It's a hypersonic glider, and apparently goes too fast for any of our defenses to be able to catch it. So quickly, we're going to look here. China tests mother of all bombs.
China seems to be flexing.
So this is just a continuation of the arms race that we are in. I consider this world a Cold War II, because China and Russia have been amping up their military capabilities. Russia has tried to inch its way further into Europe, with Crimea. More so China, trying to extend its reach further into the South China Sea.
It's muscle. Apparently they have a new weapon, and it's not just any weapon. This is a bomb. And apparently among the most powerful non-nuclear weapons that they have ever displayed. What's interesting about this story is that when we talk about China, it's not usually a country that does public displays of bluster like this. So we decided we wanted to look at this a little bit more. We want to find out more about this. RT correspondent Sarah Montes de Oca is joining me now to bring us the latest. She's been drilling down on this throughout the day. Sarah, let me start with this weapon itself. What is it?
So, Rick, China's arm industry giant Norinco showcased this bomb for the first time. It's a Chinese version of the mother of all bombs. Now, the bomb, whose strength is only a second to that of a nuclear weapon, was dropped by a Chinese H-6K bomber. Now, the bomb, it was dropped, we can see on screen right now, it was dropped in an unspecified location. We know it caused a gigantic explosion with fire and smoke, very heavy. To put this into perspective, back in 2017, Trump, who also dubbed the mother of all bombs, dropped that bomb in Afghanistan. If you remember East Afghanistan, this was back in 2017. But Beijing-based military analyst Wei Dongshu said that the Chinese bomb is calculated to be 5 to 6 meters long and weighs a lot less than that of the American bomb. So he said, quote, the massive blast can easily and completely wipe out fortified ground targets such as reinforced buildings, bastions, and defense shelters. Now, the American version requires a cargo plane to drop this kind of bomb. So this just to put it into perspective as far as the weight, while the Chinese can drop this bomb off of their normal carrier aircraft.
Sounds like quite a weapon.
So this is only going to continue more and more until actual hot war does break out, which, people, if you look throughout history, just about every 100 years, there's some kind of big war. And of course, we've been in perpetual war since 9/11. Zyro, as you bring up there, that the U.S. Needs to keep its nose out of everybody's business. I am not for all these foreign entanglements. We spend too much money on other countries through aid. We have too many bases around the world. And it leads back to a doctrine from about the 70s or so. The Project of a New American Century, which was basically formed by a lot of the neocons that have been running our foreign policy for the past couple decades. William Kristol, George W. Bush, Dick Cheney, Donald Rumsfeld, Paul Wolfowitz. These names have come up. Bolton is, I think, the current is in the current administration as an advisor, I believe. So basically, the Project of the New American Century, from what I understand, is basically a chart, a path for dominating the Middle East. That included Iraq, includes Syria, Iran, Yemen, all these countries that we've extended our operations to, and that we continue to do that. So if you look at, after 9/11, we had the Iraq War. There were no WMDs, right? That we went in there because of WMDs, right? We didn't find no WMDs, but we took down Saddam, who actually we helped put into power. Our government put Saddam into power. So he was installed, and then got taken down, and then it just spread from there. So Afghanistan, then Iraq. And then before you know it, we're in Syria. We're in Libya. I mean, Libya was democratizing. Gaddafi was going along with our policies and stuff like that. And but still, the Obama administration made a decision to go over there and basically destroy the country. And that created that was one of the things that caused this migrant crisis. Is that's the source of the migrant crisis, is our interventions overseas. And if that money went into supporting Americans, building up, fortifying our infrastructure, our own defenses, that would make a lot more sense. That would be better for our country. But instead, we're $21 trillion in debt, keep spending more and more money, but still giving billions of dollars to Israel and to other countries, to our allies, to maintain hegemony overseas. Let's see what chat has to say here. Yeah, I would imagine most people after 2001 outside of the U.S. are not fans of the U.S. We tend to stick our nose where it doesn't belong. Basically our leaders have, tried to maintain the United States as the policeman of the world, which it shouldn't be. Well, I can agree that, aid can be good, but not, I don't think Israel needs $18 billion or whatever the number is. We give way too much to foreign aid. And it's really just so that we maintain power in these regions, so that we continuously have opportunities for the military industrial complex to sell us weapons and keep those businesses and industries going. But yeah, and essentially I'm not for interventionism. I think that we should be diplomatic with all nations, or at least try to be diplomatic. But I don't think we should be giving them so much money when we are $21 trillion in debt. $21,919,000,000,081 million. It's going up. Debt per citizen, $66,769 per citizen. But look at this though. Are you seeing this? Do you have $66,769? I don't. Not even if I took all my assets combined. I don't think I have 66,000. I maybe have almost 66,000 in credit, but actual money, no. Debt per taxpayer though, $179,225. I mean, we're in a huge bubble. After the recession in 2008, what happened? The companies that caused the crash got bailed out, and they've continued their practices. And, the economy could crash at any moment. And a lot of economic analysts have, predict that. So I thought this was interesting. This is just an example. This video is an example of the
here we are at
extreme partisanship in our country. Between left wing and right wing. If you just look at Twitter for 5 minutes, you'll see like 50 people complaining about Donald Trump and another 50 people complaining about liberals or Nancy Pelosi or something like that. And too many times, I mean, basically, I look at it like this. It's controlled opposition. A lot of the same special interests and companies that fund the Democratic Party fund the Republican Party and vice versa. Goldman Sachs has supported the past few presidents, including the current one. So it's really the agenda of the special interests and the corporations that run the country for the most part. And then people fall into this, trap where, they're on their team, like, hey, I'm on the red team. Oh, fuck the blue team. Like, oh, I'm on the blue team. Fuck the red team. Instead of looking at things with nuance, saying, okay, maybe this one thing that this person does is good for the country, but this policy isn't bad. This other policy is bad, but this other one's good. And there's a different president, but this one thing is doing good, but then the other thing is doing bad. So I feel like people don't look at things with nuance, really. And they kind of just say, oh, well, they're in that party, so fuck them or whatever. So this is a good example because this guy, he walks into this vape shop. He walks into the vape shop with like Trump paraphernalia on. Hey, Roscoe, how you doing, boy? And then he like immediately is yelled at by this guy behind the counter. So I'm gonna play this video while I let my dog outside. All right, so let's take a look at this video.
So here we are at Exhale Vapor City in Tucker, Georgia, and I have just been asked to leave the store. He greeted me. That was nice. I did find the item that I wanted, and the next thing he said was that he'd like me to leave.
If you do not stop recording in my store, I'm going to call the police and ask you to leave now.
Please call the. That would be awesome. That'd be awesome. We can call Fox 5 and all sorts of stuff. I would like to purchase something here. Please do call your boss because I will be calling corporate.
Go for it.
I am looking forward to releasing this video because I just want to purchase something from
Fuck off, dude! Fuck off! Get the fuck off in here, man! Fuck, man! Fucking can't stand your racist motherfuckers.
Racist?
Yeah.
Sure.
Right?
I'm not a racist.
Right, I got a fucker in my store. He won't leave. He's wearing some Trump bullshit. Got some racist bullshit all up in his head and shit. I'm not serving anyone that has to do with that fucker. He's a treasonous asshole.
I don't have a problem with you, sir, whatsoever. I just want good health care for my kids. I don't have a problem with the color of your skin or yours. I'd like to purchase some of this naked vape juice, though, if that would be all right. All right, see, because... Okay, here's where we're at.
Leave the store.
Here's where you're at.
Leave the store.
Leave
the store.
Here's where we're at,
Leave the store. Fuck off. I don't give a fuck. Get out.
Dude, go ahead, take another swing at it. Make contact with me one more time. I'm going to make a deal with you. I want to purchase that vape juice.
No.
If you sell it to me, I won't. If you sell it to me, I won't. Look, if you sell it to me, I won't call the police. What you did was assaulted me. What I need is that for my wife.
Meanwhile, this is black guy in the background like, what the fuck is going on?
If you sell it to me, I won't call the fucking cops and press charges on you for assault. I won't call corporate and get you fired. Just sell me the fucking product so I can leave.
What do you want?
Naked in the strawberry in a fucking 6 milligram.
Where do you see naked?
Right here. This shit. Where is it?
Naked, the strawberry, the fucking 6.
Where the fuck do you see
right there. Here. Right next to that. In a 6 milligram. Make sure it's a 6 milligram so I don't have to come back.
No, you're not fucking coming back to my store, homie. I'm making sure of that. Get the fuck out of here, dude. Oh my fuck.
God bless America. Capitalism wins again.
Fuck your capitalism. Fuck your fucking president. He's a racist, stupid piece of shit. You're
Whatever.
a racist,
Just ring the shit up.
stupid piece of shit.
Just ring the shit up, fuckboy.
Fuck off.
Do my bidding.
Man, fuck, get out.
Sell it to me. No. Sell it to me. Sell it to me, punk. It's your job, your freedom. Sell me the shit.
Fuck it, you can be.
No. Sell it to me.
Nope.
Sell it to me.
Fuck off.
Come on. Ring it up. Ring it up and you don't ruin your life. That's where you're at right now. Because you done upset me. And you should have helped him first in the first place before you threw a temper tantrum, dipshit. He's standing here waiting for you to ring him up. How fucking...
Get out!
Help your customer!
Fuck off! Fuck off! Fuck!
Yikes.
You got a business card here?
We are going to be here all day. Get out!
I'm cool with it. I'm recording. You got a business card for your manager or anything
Fuck
like
no.
that?
I ain't giving you fucking dick.
Oh, man. This is phenomenal. Look, God bless America and everybody in it. I love you, sir. I don't even know you. I love you too. And God bless you.
This is about money.
This is about money. I just want to bring this thing home to my wife. You know? Man, this got nothing to do with skin color.
I'm not selling
This has
you
nothing to do with skin color.
This is about money, man.
Look, I like having a little bit more money in my paycheck. I like paying less for my kids' health care. I got nothing to do with skin color, bro.
I'm not selling you dick.
I'm sorry, bro. You gotta go through this,
Wow, man. God bless you. Hey, check it out. He's still your president. Go fuck yourself.
Fuck you.
Wow. Yeah, that's pretty wild. Is my webcam okay? Because it looks like it's frozen, but I don't know. It doesn't usually do that. The screech, yeah, man. That was not good, man. And that guy got fired too after that. Oh man, see, that's what I'm talking about. This like partisanship, like people just like, you know, having like emotional meltdowns. You know what I mean? It's crazy. It's you know, people are controlled when, you know, they can't just like reasonably interact with somebody. I mean, I judge a person by the character. Someone could, you know, be covered in Trump paraphernalia, but if they're not being an asshole to me, I'm not gonna start anything with that person. I might not try to like be friends with that person. I might not try to, you know, I mean, it just depends what kind of person that is, you know? It's just irrational to have such a... And I guess you could argue, well, I mean, here's the thing. A lot of people equate Trump with Nazism, which I don't buy into that. Does his off the leash comments kind of enable other people to have off the leash comments, which include racists? Yeah. But it doesn't mean that he's racist or that his policies are racist. Unemployment is down, including for non-whites. You know, there are a couple things that he's done okay, like he didn't sign TPP. He's saying that he's gonna withdraw from Syria. You know, he is still racking up the debt at a faster rate than even Obama. You know, there's a lot of things that are wrong with him, of course, and like his rhetoric and stuff is very divisive. It doesn't help. But when you see somebody with a Trump shirt, just to start acting like a child is just crazy to me. What's chat got to say? What's up, Nacho? How you doing, man? Frozen. Sorry, can't type. Let me redo my camera then. Hold on a second. I don't know why I did that. I have no idea. It's weird. Maybe I need to unplug it and plug it back in. Oh boy, technology, huh? Technology, huh? Don't you just love it? Don't you just love it? It's still showing as frozen too. That's weird. Oh, okay. Here we go. So weird. So weird. Oops. There we go. That's better. All right. Sorry about that. Sorry for the... Oh, shit. Uh-oh. Uh-oh.